The transport ship came out of faster-than-light travel with a soft hum. Commander Tae-jin stood at the window and watched the massive station ahead. It was called Harmony's Rest, and it was bigger than any human city. Lights blinked across its surface like stars. Ships from dozens of alien species floated around it. Beautiful, isn't it? Ambassador Haiwan stepped beside him. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back neatly. She had spent 30 years in Earth's diplomatic service, but even she looked nervous. "It's impressive," Tae-jin said. He was younger, only 40, but his military record was perfect. Earth had sent him for a reason. While Haiwan would talk, Tae-jin would watch and learn. Their ship docked an hour later. The airlock opened with a hiss. On the other side waited 3 aliens. The first was covered in blue feathers and stood on 2 legs like a bird. The second looked like a giant lizard with golden scales. The third was something else entirely, floating in the air with tentacles that glowed softly. "Welcome, humans," the bird-like alien said. Its voice came from a device around its neck. "I am Counselor Vrel. This is High Chancellor Morvik and Counselor Shan." Haiwan bowed slightly. "Thank you for having us. We are honored to meet the Galactic Council." They walked through the station's wide halls. Aliens of every type passed by them. Some looked at the humans with curiosity. Others ignored them completely. Tae-jin noticed everything. The weapons some aliens carried, the way guards stood at certain doors, the cameras hidden in the walls. The council chamber was enormous. 47 seats rose in a circle, each one different to fit its species. At the center was a platform where Haiwan and Tae-jin stood. Above them, a dome showed the galaxy spinning slowly. High Chancellor Morvik spoke first. His voice was deep and rough. "Humans of Earth, you have shown you can travel between stars. You have developed technology and civilization. The Galactic Council considers you ready to join us." Haiwan smiled. "We accept with gratitude. But first," Counselor Vrel said, "you must understand our ways. For 12,000 years, we have kept peace through our civilized warfare protocols." Tae-jin's interest grew. Warfare protocols? That was his area. Vrel continued. "War is sometimes necessary. Species disagree. Resources are limited. Territory is disputed. We accept this. But we wage war with honor and rules." A hologram appeared above them. It showed 2 fleets of ships facing each other. When conflict arises, both sides declare their intentions. They agree on battle zones. They set limits on weapons. Civilians are never targeted. Medical ships are sacred. When casualties reach 5%, negotiations begin. Most wars last 2 to 3 years before diplomatic resolution. Another hologram showed aliens shaking hands after a battle. The losing side surrenders territory or resources. The winning side shows mercy. Both sides follow the rules. This way, civilization continues. Billions live in peace. Only thousands die in necessary conflicts. Tae-jin said nothing, but his jaw tightened slightly. Haiwan noticed, but kept her face neutral. "These protocols have served us well," Morvik said. "Member species who violate them are expelled and sanctioned. War without rules is barbarism. We rose above it long ago." Haiwan nodded. "Humanity understands the value of rules and diplomacy." "Excellent," Vrel said. "Then you will sign the protocols?" "We will need time to review them," Haiwan replied smoothly. "Our government must approve any treaty, but we see no obvious problems." That was diplomatic language. Tae-jin knew what it really meant. "We need to study this carefully." The meeting continued for hours. The council explained trade agreements, territorial assignments, and cultural exchange programs. Humanity would receive a small frontier territory to settle. 3 planets, all unclaimed. It was a test. Tae-jin understood. See how the humans do with a little space before giving them more. Finally, the session ended. As they prepared to leave, Counselor Vrel approached them privately. His feathers ruffled slightly. "A word of advice," he said quietly. "Your territory borders the Kresh Dominion. They are aggressive, more than most species. They follow the protocols, but barely. They push every boundary, start conflicts over small matters." "Are they dangerous?" Taejin asked. "Dangerous?" Vrel's head tilted, a bird-like gesture. "No species in the Council is truly dangerous. We all follow the rules. But the Kresh test newcomers. They like to fight. They will likely challenge you within a year. Standard territorial dispute. Nothing serious." "How should we prepare?" Taejin pressed. "Build your defenses. Study the protocols. Fight with honor. After a year or two of skirmishes, you'll negotiate a border agreement. That's how it always goes. The Kresh respect strength, but they respect the protocols more." Vrel's eyes, large and yellow, studied Taejin. "You're military, yes? You understand these things. War is not about destruction. It's about establishing position, about showing resolve. The protocols ensure everyone survives to negotiate another day." Taejin nodded slowly. "I understand." But as they walked back to their ship, Haiwan whispered, "You don't agree with him." "No," Taejin said. "I don't." "Why not?" He watched an alien warship drift past their window. It was beautiful, covered in decorative armor and glowing symbols. "That ship is designed to look impressive, not to kill efficiently." "And that's bad?" "That's not war," Taejin said. "That's a game." Haiwan said nothing more. They boarded their ship and began the journey home. Taejin spent the entire trip reading the civilized warfare protocols, all 600 pages. When he finished, he sat in the dark for a long time. These aliens had forgotten what real war was. They had made it safe, predictable, survivable. Humanity had not forgotten, could not forget. Earth's history was written in blood. Every human child learned about the world wars, the nuclear age, the century when humanity almost destroyed itself. Humans had learned a terrible lesson. If you must fight, end it fast. End it completely. Never let it drag on. These aliens played at war. They would learn soon enough. Humanity didn't play. 6 months passed. New Jeju bloomed like a garden in space. The planet had blue oceans and green continents. Humans built cities and farms. 50,000 colonists called it home now. They were happy, safe. Or so they thought. Dr. Yun-hee stood on a hill watching the sunset. She was a scientist who studied alien life. New Jeju had interesting plants and small animals. Nothing dangerous, nothing that wanted to hurt humans. She liked it here. It was peaceful. Her communication device beeped. "Dr. Yun-hee, please return to the main settlement. Governor Bo-Ra has called an emergency meeting." Yun-hee's stomach dropped. Emergency meetings were never good. An hour later, she sat in a room full of worried faces. Governor Bo-Ra stood at the front. She was a short woman with a strong voice. Behind her stood Captain Sung-ho, who commanded the defense fleet orbiting above them. "I received a message today," Bo-Ra said. "From the Kresh Dominion." People whispered. Everyone had heard about the Kresh. Aggressive, war-loving, following the rules, but barely. Bo-Ra activated a hologram. An alien appeared. It looked like a cross between a bear and a crocodile, with thick armor plating and red eyes. Its mouth had too many teeth. "I am Warlord Thrak," the alien growled. "New Jeju was Kresh territory 400 years ago. We claim it again. You have violated our ancient borders. Leave within 60 days or face honorable combat." The hologram ended. The room erupted in noise. People shouted questions. Some cried. Others looked angry. "Quiet!" Bo-Ra's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain Sung-ho will explain our military situation." The captain stepped forward. He was young for his rank, only 35, but he had trained at Earth's best military academy. The Kresh have sent 67 warships. We have 23. According to the civilized warfare protocols, this is a standard challenge. We have 3 weeks before the first engagement. Can we win? Someone asked. Sung Ho hesitated. In a traditional conflict following the protocols, probably not. They have more ships. The war would last 18 months. After 6 to 8 months, we would negotiate terms. We would likely share the planet or give up some territory. That's unacceptable, a man shouted. I agree, Bo-Ra said, but those are the rules here. The Galactic Council expects us to follow them. We need to evacuate non-essential personnel, Sung Ho said. Families with children, elderly, people without defense training. We can move 5,000 people to our transport ships. They'll stay in orbit or return to Earth. Yun-hee raised her hand. I'm staying. You might need a scientist. Bo-Ra nodded. Thank you. We need volunteers to stay. Everyone else should prepare to leave. The meeting ended badly. People were scared, angry, confused. Why would aliens claim their planet? Why did war have to follow stupid rules? That night, Yun-hee couldn't sleep. She walked through the quiet streets. Above, she could see the human ships moving into defensive positions. Small lights against the stars. Not enough lights. Not enough ships. A transport landed 3 days later. From it stepped a woman in an admiral's uniform. Admiral Ji-woo. She was famous on Earth. 50 years old. She had fought in 3 conflicts and won them all. Her face was hard like stone. Sung Ho met her at the landing pad. Yun-hee watched from a distance. Captain, Ji-woo said, report. 23 ships ready for combat, 45,000 civilians remaining. Kresh fleet arrives in 18 days. Good. I brought sealed orders from Earth Command. Ji-woo handed him a data chip. Read them privately. Tell no one. Begin preparations immediately. Sung Ho took the chip. His hand shook slightly. Ma'am, what are our rules of engagement? Ji-woo's eyes were cold. We don't have any. She walked away, leaving Sung Ho standing alone. He looked at the data chip like it was a bomb. The next 2 weeks were strange. Sung Ho ordered unusual preparations, ships repositioned in weird patterns, weapons that seemed wrong for traditional combat, lots of missiles, too many missiles, and other things, quiet things, small ships that disappeared for days. Yun-hee saw Special Forces soldiers arrive. She knew their type, silent, dangerous. They wore black uniforms with no markings. They boarded small, fast ships and left without explanation. What's happening? She asked Bo-Ra. The governor looked tired. I don't know. The military is doing something different. Sung Ho won't tell me details. On the 18th day, the Kresh fleet arrived. 67 ships appeared in orbit. They were huge. Decorated with spikes and red paint, warships designed to look terrifying. Warlord Thrak broadcast a message to the whole planet. Humans, we honor the protocols. In 48 hours, we begin formal combat. Prepare yourselves. Fight well. Die with honor if you must. We respect brave enemies. It sounded almost polite, like inviting someone to a sporting match. That evening, Counselor Vrel arrived on a neutral observation ship. His job was to watch the war and ensure both sides followed the rules. He contacted Sung Ho. Captain, this is your first council war. I'm here to help. The protocols are complex. You must declare your defensive zones. Agree on weapon limitations. Establish medical ship routes. Thank you, Counselor, Sung Ho said. His voice was flat. We're reviewing the protocols now. Excellent. The Kresh are difficult opponents, but they follow the rules. After a few months of honorable combat, you'll reach a settlement. Perhaps share the planet. It won't be so bad. Sung Ho said nothing. That night, he sat alone in his quarters. The data chip from Admiral Ji-woo lay on his desk. He had read the orders 100 times. His hands were still shaking. The orders were simple. Just 3 words, repeated over and over in the file. Eliminate the threat. not engage the enemy, not conduct defensive operations, not fight with honor, eliminate the threat. Sung Ho understood what that meant. Earth had made a decision. They would not play the Council's game. They would not follow protocols written by species who had forgotten real war. His communication device beeped. Admiral Jiwoo's face appeared. "Captain, are you ready?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Remember your training. Remember Earth's history. We don't fight wars to score points, we fight to survive, and we always finish what we start." "I understand." Jiwoo's expression softened slightly. "I know this is hard, but those aliens threatened our people. 45,000 humans are counting on you. The Kresh think this is a game. Show them they're wrong." The transmission ended. Sung Ho stood and put on his uniform. In 12 hours, the Kresh expected formal combat to begin. Speeches, declarations, then slow, careful fighting. They were going to be very surprised. The first 12 hours were quiet. Too quiet. Warlord Thrak sat in his command ship and waited. According to protocols, humans should send formal declarations, list their defensive zones, agree on combat limitations. That's how civilized species fought. Instead, he received a simple message from Captain Sung Ho. "We request 48 hours to discuss surrender terms." Thrak laughed. Humans were smart. They knew they couldn't win. Better to negotiate now and keep most of their colony. "Granted. You have 2 days." He told his officers to stand down. No need to waste energy. The humans would surrender soon, maybe keep half the planet, maybe less. Either way, Thrak would win glory without much fighting. What Thrak didn't know was that Captain Sung Ho was lying. While the Kresh relaxed, Colonel Hyunwoo and his special forces moved like ghosts. They wore suits that bent light around them, nearly invisible. Their small ships had no engines running, just drifting on momentum through space. Quiet, patient, deadly. Hyunwoo and his 200 soldiers reached the Kresh fleet in 6 hours. They attached themselves to the big ships like parasites. Then they waited. Inside their suits, they planted devices, tiny bombs, computer hacking tools, tracking beacons. Lieutenant Mi Sun worked from a human ship far away. Her fingers flew across keyboards. She broke into the Kresh communication network. It was easier than expected. The Kresh had good security against attacks from other ships, but they never expected someone to plug directly into their hull. Within 12 hours, Mi Sun knew everything. Where each Kresh ship was, which ones had the most weapons, where Warlord Thrak slept, how their supply lines worked, everything. She sent the data to Admiral Jiwoo. The Admiral smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Captain Sung Ho," she said over a secure channel. "Are we ready?" "Yes, ma'am. All targets marked. Weapons hot. Waiting for your order." "Good. In 10 seconds, teach them what war really means." The 13th hour began with fire. Not the careful, limited fire of council warfare, real fire. Total fire. The kind of fire humanity learned to use when it almost destroyed itself. From the human ships poured thousands of missiles. Small, fast, smart. They didn't fly straight lines. They dodged, weaved, confused enemy sensors. The Kresh shields were designed to stop big, powerful shots, not swarms of small ones. The first Kresh ship exploded, then another, then 10 more. Within 5 minutes, 20 ships were dead or dying. Thrak screamed orders, but his communications were full of noise. Mi Sun had filled their networks with garbage data. Nothing worked right. "This is wrong!" Thrak roared. "They violate the protocols! They cheat!" His second officer looked terrified. "Sir, should we retreat and file a complaint with the council?" "No. Return fire. Destroy them." But the Kresh ships moved slowly. They were built for show, not efficiency. Human ships danced around them like sharks around whales. Fast. Deadly. No wasted movement. Then came the kinetic weapons. Chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. No explosives. Didn't need them. Pure momentum was enough. They hit Kresh ships like the fist of an angry god. Armor crumpled. Ships broke apart. Silent death in the vacuum of space. Warlord Thrak tried to organize a counterattack. But Colonel Hyunwoo's teams were inside his fleet now. They sabotaged engines, cut power lines, released atmosphere from ship sections. The Kresh soldiers fought back, but Special Forces soldiers trained differently than Council warriors. Every movement efficient, every shot fatal. No honor, no rules, just results. By hour 24, only 33 Kresh ships remained. Half of Thrak's fleet gone in one day. This was impossible. Council wars didn't work like this. Thrak sent a message to Captain Sung Ho. "Stop! We must negotiate. The protocols—" "We never signed your protocols," Sung Ho interrupted. His voice was calm, cold. "You threatened our people. Now you die. Simple." But the Council will do nothing. We gave you a chance to leave peacefully. You chose war. This is war." On New Jeju, Dr. Yoon-hee watched the battle from the ground. She could see explosions in the sky like new stars. She felt sick. This was terrible. But also, it was working. The Kresh were losing. Governor Bo-Ra stood beside her. "I didn't know we could fight like this." "Neither did the Kresh," Yoon-hee whispered. By hour 36, only 18 Kresh ships survived. Thrak ordered a retreat. His ships tried to run. Human ships pursued. This was another shock. In Council warfare, you let enemies retreat. Let them surrender with dignity. Humans had no such mercy. Admiral Ji-woo's orders were clear. Eliminate the threat, not wound it, not scare it. Eliminate it completely. The Kresh ships were fast in straight lines but couldn't turn well. Human ships cut them off, surrounded them, destroyed them one by one. No escape, no mercy, no protocol. Councillor Vrel watched from his observation ship in horror. He sent urgent messages to the Council. "They're not fighting. They're exterminating. Someone must stop this." But the Council was far away. Lightspeed communication took time. By the time they could respond, it would be over. At hour 48, 8 Kresh ships remained. Thrak's command ship was damaged, but still moving. He broadcast on all frequencies. "Please, we surrender." "According to the protocols—" "You mentioned protocols," Sung Ho said. "Let me tell you about human protocols. When someone threatens our civilians, we protect them. When someone starts a war, we finish it. When someone refuses peace, we give them death. These are our protocols." 6 more ships died in the next hour. Now only 2 remained. Thrak's command ship and 1 escort. Thrak made a decision. He would run to Harmony's Rest, the Council station. Neutral ground. They couldn't touch him there. His ships jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind him, human ships followed. They arrived at the Council station in hour 67. Thrak's ships were damaged but intact. He sent an emergency message to High Chancellor Morvik. "Grant us asylum. The humans are animals. They must be stopped." Morvik granted asylum immediately. Council law protected refugees. Thrak was safe, or so he thought. The human fleet arrived in hour 70. 23 ships, barely damaged. Admiral Ji-woo broadcast to the entire station. "We demand you hand over Warlord Thrak. He committed war crimes by threatening civilian populations." "He is under Council protection," Morvik replied. "You cannot touch him here. You have 30 minutes. After that, we come in and get him ourselves." The entire Council was listening now. Dozens of species, hundreds of officials. Everyone shocked. Humans were threatening to violate the Council's most sacred neutral ground. But before the 30 minutes ended, something unexpected happened. The Kresh Dominion's home government sent a transmission. The Kresh leaders, not Thrak. They had watched their fleet die in 3 days. Watched their greatest warlord run away. We surrender, they said. Completely. Unconditionally. New Jeju is human territory. All claims withdrawn. Our military forces will be dissolved and rebuilt under council oversight. Please don't come to our home world. Silence fell across the galaxy. The war was over. 73 hours, not 73 months, not 73 days. 73 hours. Human casualties, 247. Crash casualties, 94,000. Admiral Jiwoo recalled her fleet. They had made their point. On New Jeju, people celebrated. Dr. Yun-hee did not. She understood what had happened. Humanity had shown the galaxy its true face, the face of a species that almost destroyed itself, the face of predators who learned to kill efficiently. They were safe now, protected, but at what cost? What would the galaxy think of them? She would find out soon enough. The emergency council session started 3 days later. Every species sent representatives. The chamber was full. Thousands of aliens filled the seats. The air smelled of tension and fear. Ambassador Hei-wan stood at the center platform. Commander Tae-jin stood beside her. Around them, 47 species watched. Some looked angry. Others looked scared. A few looked curious. High Chancellor Morvik spoke first. His voice echoed through the chamber. Humans of Earth, you are charged with violating the civilized warfare protocols, excessive use of force, refusal to accept enemy surrender, pursuing retreating forces, threatening neutral ground. These are serious crimes. Councillor Vrel stood. His feathers were ruffled, a sign of distress. I witnessed the battle. It was not battle. It was slaughter. They fought like a disease, not an army. They showed no mercy, no honor, no restraint. A hologram appeared above them. Video from the battle. Kresh ships exploding, human missiles swarming like angry insects, bodies floating in space. It was ugly, brutal, efficient. Many council members looked away. They were not used to seeing real war. Their conflicts were clean, controlled. This was something else. This was what their ancestors had fought 10,000 years ago before the protocols. An alien representative stood. She was small, with gray skin and large eyes. Her species was called the Welven. The humans must be expelled from the council. They are barbarians. They will destroy our peace. Others agreed. Voices rose in anger. They cannot be trusted. They break all rules. They are dangerous. Ambassador Hei-wan waited. Let them speak. Let them release their fear. Finally, High Chancellor Morvik called for silence. Ambassador Hei-wan, you may speak in your defense. Hei-wan bowed. Thank you, Chancellor. I understand your fear. What you saw was frightening. But I must ask, is it more frightening than the alternative? She gestured. Another hologram appeared. This one showed numbers, statistics. The Galactic Council has maintained peace for 12,000 years. During that time, you have fought 347 limited wars. Each war lasted an average of 2.3 years. Each war killed an average of 13 million beings. Total deaths from Council warfare, 4.7 billion lives. The chamber went quiet. They had never seen the numbers added together like that. Your protocols make war survivable, Hei-wan continued. But they also make war acceptable. Easy to start, hard to finish. Conflicts drag on for years because no one truly fears war anymore. You've made it safe. That makes it common. Councillor Vrel interrupted. But we minimize casualties. 5% limit before negotiations. Yes, Hei-wan said. 5% of military forces. But those wars still lasted years. How many civilians suffered during those years? How many economies collapsed? How many children grew up in war zones? She brought up another hologram. Let me tell you about Earth. 10,000 years of human warfare. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. World War I, 20 million dead in 4 years. World War II, 75 million dead in 6 years. Nuclear age. We built weapons that could end all human life in one day. The council members listened, horrified. We learned a terrible lesson, HFY said softly. War must be feared. It must be brutal. It must end quickly, because if war becomes acceptable, it becomes constant. We designed our military not for glory, not for honor, but to end threats so completely that no one dares threaten us again. Commander Tae-jin stepped forward. You call us barbarians. Perhaps you're right, but we are honest barbarians. The Kresh Dominion threatened 50,000 human civilians. They chose war. We responded with total force. 73 hours. The threat eliminated. Now there is peace. Real peace. The Kresh will not threaten anyone for a generation. But at what cost? A council member shouted. 94,000 Kresh dead. Yes, Tae-jin said. In 3 days. Your protocols would have killed fewer Kresh, but over 2 years. Same deaths, different timeline. Which is more merciful, quick death or slow death? We chose quick. A new voice spoke. It was Delegate Sora, from a species called the Penten. Her people were small and weak. They had almost gone extinct 50 years ago during a limited war that lasted 8 years. Perhaps, she said quietly, the humans have a point. My species lost 60% of our population in a council-approved war. Limited casualties, they said, but it lasted so long. Every year more death, more suffering. If the war had ended in days instead of years, how many of my people would still be alive? Other small species murmured agreement. They understood. The big species could afford limited wars. Small species could not. Professor Dong Yun, a human historian, spoke next. Honorable Council, may I explain human philosophy? We do not enjoy war. We fear it. That is why we are so good at it. A species that makes war comfortable will fight constantly. A species that makes war terrible will avoid it desperately. Which species would you rather have as neighbors? The council divided. Large, powerful species wanted humans expelled. They felt threatened. Their military superiority meant nothing if humans could destroy fleets in days. Small, weak species wanted humans to stay. They saw protection, safety, a deterrent against aggressors. High Chancellor Morvik raised his hand for silence. This debate will continue. We will deliberate for 60 days. Until then, humans will remain provisional members, restricted to their current territory. Ambassador HFY bowed. We accept the Council's wisdom. As the session ended, Councillor Vrel approached them privately. You terrify us, he said bluntly. I know, HFY replied. But ask yourself, in 12,000 years, how many wars would have started if every species knew their enemy could destroy them in 3 days? How many billions would still be alive? Vrel had no answer. He flew away, wings drooping. That night, alarms blared across the council station. An emergency transmission came from the border regions. The Vren swarm had broken through. The Vren were not council members. They were invaders from outside the galaxy. Insect-like creatures that ate everything, destroyed everything. The council had fought the Vren for 300 years, a stalemate. The Vren followed no protocols. They just attacked, consumed, moved on. Now they had broken through the defense lines. 3 council worlds were in danger, billions of lives. High Chancellor Morvik looked at the tactical displays. How long to mobilize our forces? 6 months, Chancellor, his military advisor said. Maybe less if we rush. We don't have 6 months. Those worlds will be destroyed in weeks. Silence fell across the command center. Everyone knew what came next. Slowly, all eyes turned to Ambassador HFY and Commander Tae-jin. Morvik's voice was quiet, almost ashamed. How fast can you eliminate them? HFY and Tae-jin looked at each other. Tae-jin smiled slightly. Give us 3 weeks. 3 weeks? To save 3 worlds and stop a swarm that has fought us for centuries? 3 weeks, Taejin confirmed, but we do it our way. No protocols, no rules, no complaints later. Morvik looked around the room. His advisors nodded slowly. What choice did they have? Agreed. Save our people. We'll deal with the consequences later. Taejin saluted. Understood, Chancellor. The Vren are about to learn the same lesson the Kresh learned. Humanity doesn't fight wars. We eliminate threats. Fleet Admiral Jae Sung arrived at the border with 300 human ships, the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Every ship was loaded with weapons, not ceremonial weapons, not honorable weapons, weapons designed to kill. The first thing he did was meet with Dr. Yunhee. She had been studying the Vren for days, using samples the council provided. Tell me how to kill them, Jae Sung said simply. Yunhee looked tired. They're like insects. Hive mind. Each swarm follows queen signals. Kill the queen, the swarm collapses. But the queens hide deep inside the swarm, protected by millions of worker drones. How do we reach them? Chemical weapons. I've designed a compound that disrupts their neural communication. It won't kill them immediately, but it will confuse them, make them vulnerable. The Council banned chemical weapons centuries ago. The Council isn't fighting this battle, Jae Sung said. We are. Make as much of that chemical as you can. We deploy in 48 hours. Captain Sung Ho, promoted after his victory against the Kresh, commanded one of the strike groups. He studied the Vren swarm through his ship's sensors. Millions of creatures. They moved like a living cloud through space, consuming everything. They're not like the Kresh, he told his officers. The Kresh at least thought like soldiers. The Vren are animals. They only know hunger. That makes them predictable. The human fleet split into smaller groups. Not one massive force, but dozens of smaller ones. Fast. Mobile. Each group had a specific target. The Council military advisors watching didn't understand the strategy. It looked random, scattered. It was anything but. When the attack began, it was chaos. Human ships didn't engage the main swarm. Instead, they darted around it, released Dr. Yunhee's chemical in clouds. The Vren workers breathed it in. Within minutes, they started acting strange, confused, attacking each other. Breaking formation. Phase 2. Jae Sung ordered. Missiles launched, thousands of them. But these missiles didn't explode. They emitted signals, fake queen signals. The confused Vren workers, unable to hear their real queens anymore, followed the fake signals. Away from the swarm, away from protection, into kill zones. Human ships destroyed the separated groups easily. No honor, no fair combat, just elimination. It took 12 days to find all 18 Vren queens. They hid in asteroid fields, inside dead ships, behind debris. But Lieutenant Mi Sun, the intelligence officer who had hacked the Kresh, tracked them. Every queen gave off unique signals, unique patterns. One by one, she found them. One by one, human strike teams killed them. Kinetic weapons from long range. No risk, no casualties. Just cold, efficient death. By day 14, 12 queens were dead. The Vren swarm was fractured, dying. The remaining 6 queens tried to retreat back to deep space. Should we let them go? Sung Ho asked. The threat to Council worlds is eliminated. No, Jae Sung said firmly. Eliminate means eliminate. Not wound, not scare. Eliminate. Chase them down. The last queen died on day 17. The Vren swarm, which had fought the Council for 300 years, was extinct, completely, totally, forever. Human casualties, 103. Vren casualties, all of them. When the fleet returned to Council space, they found a changed galaxy. High Chancellor Morvik himself came to greet them. Behind him stood representatives from dozens of species. You saved 3 worlds, Morvik said. His voice was thick with emotion. Billions of lives. The Council thanks you. We eliminated the threat, Jae-sung said, as requested. That night, Ambassador Hae-won met with the council leadership. We proposed the Terran Compact, 4 principles. First, humanity will never start wars. We only defend. Second, any council species can request human protection. We will respond. Third, we will teach our military methods to any species who wants to learn. Fourth, we receive a permanent council seat with military veto power. The debate lasted hours. Some species refused. They still feared humanity, but 12 species signed immediately. Small species, prey species, species who had suffered under the old system. More followed. After a month, 31 of the 47 council species had signed the Terran Compact. The others remained independent, but didn't object. Captain Sung-ho, now promoted to colonel, started teaching at the new Academy of Final War. Council officers came to learn, not all of them. The old warrior species refused, but younger species, smarter species, they came. War is not about glory, Sung-ho told his students. War is about ending threats to your people. If you must fight, fight to win completely. Win so decisively that no one dares challenge you again. That is how you achieve real peace. Il-seong, a young human diplomat, became the first human on the council military committee. He was only 30 years old, but brilliant. He helped rewrite the civilized warfare protocols. The new protocols were simpler. If diplomacy failed, both sides could choose. Follow the old protocols for limited war, or declare total war with no restrictions. Most species chose the old protocols. They were safer. Familiar. But now everyone knew the other option existed. That changed everything. Wars became rarer, much rarer. No one wanted total war with an enemy who might fight like humans. Better to negotiate, compromise, find peaceful solutions. In the first year after the Terran Compact, Council warfare casualties dropped 87%, not because humans fought more, because everyone else fought less. Dr. Yun-hee returned to New Jeju. She stood on the same hill where she had watched the Kresh fleet arrive. The sunset was beautiful, peaceful. But now there were human warships visible in orbit, always watching, always ready. Governor Bo-ra joined her. Do you think we did the right thing? Showing the galaxy how brutal we can be? I don't know, Yun-hee said honestly. We saved lives, made the galaxy safer. But we also made them fear us. Is peace through fear real peace? Maybe not, Bo-ra said. But it's better than the alternative. The Council had 12,000 years of their way. How many died? Now we try it our way. Maybe fewer will die. Back on Earth, Ambassador Hae-won and Commander Tae-jin stood in the military museum. They looked at exhibits from Earth's wars, ancient weapons, old battles, so much death, so much suffering. The galaxy thinks we're monsters, Tae-jin said. Let them, Hae-won replied. Better they fear us and stay peaceful than love us and start wars. We've seen what happens when war becomes acceptable. We almost destroyed ourselves. We won't let the galaxy make the same mistake. So we become the monsters who protect everyone? Yes, it's a burden, but someone must carry it. We learned how to fight from nearly dying. That knowledge shouldn't go to waste. Tae-jin nodded slowly. The galaxy learned something from us. What's that? That humanity doesn't fight wars to win. We fight wars to ensure we never have to fight again. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Human ships patrolled council borders, silent, watchful, rarely firing. But everyone knew what would happen if they did. Aggressors thought twice, 3 times. Most decided negotiation was better. The council species started to understand. Humans weren't conquerors. They didn't want territory or power. They just wanted peace, real peace, the kind of peace that comes when everyone is too afraid to start wars. It wasn't perfect. Some species still hated humans, others worshipped them, but most just accepted them. The galaxy's reluctant guardians. The monsters who protected the innocent. And in the end, that was enough. The galaxy learned to fear war again, and in that fear found something the Council's protocols never gave them: true, lasting peace.